And we are good to go. Welcome everybody to our weekly EMA and Open Web Sandbox. We are having Ryan from Minting Music today here. They're back. They've been doing some work with us, but we're just gonna to recapitulate what's been happening before, how they're doing, what's new in there, but also talk about the community engagement, which is a very relevant topic as usual, and see which kind of onboarding practices we can implement together or separately or in general to boost the influx of people to the ecosystem. So welcome everybody again. In case you will be having questions or any comments, or you would like to join us at the conversation, just raise your hand, send your questions in the Q&A or just in the chat. And I would say, Ryan, the word is to you.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Sophia, Anna. Super stoked to be able to talk to the community today. So I'm with Minton Music. What we do is we are bringing functional and utility to NFTs in practical spaces and practical cases. We've got a large focus now where we're looking to live events and also doing white labeling services. So white labeling NFT marketplaces for artists and brands and events, just like any other artist would on 2.0, but bridging that the 2.0 and the 3.0. So being able to bring more ownership to the artists and individuals, and also to the fans and the consumers. Something that we very much believe are the NFTs. NFTs are the keys to the metaverse. I thought of that this week and I'm super proud of it. So I'm going to go ahead and act like that's the slogan now. So NFTs are the keys to the metaverse. We're really excited about all the different opportunities, like you said, that they've given us individually, but what it is able to do for artists and events, to be able to empower them and to be able to empower their operations. Everything from, just being self-sustaining, eliminating third parties, operating peer-to-peer to, what the functional NFTs could allow you to bring to, another thing that we're also focusing on is membership cards and access passes and making those NFTs accessible. We've had a recent tech breakthrough, if you will, on being able to implement those in some more useful ways. So we're really excited about what that can bring. And obviously, as the metaverse grows,
Are you talking about Minton Music technology, or are you referring to the Astro piece?
Minting Music specifically, but it might be in collaborate. It might be. I'm sure there's probably some overlap there.
Yeah.
So I know we're not reinventing the wheel here, and that's definitely not what we're trying to do either. There's a great foundation here in the blockchain space. We just believe it needs a little bit of polish, a little more simplicity, and maybe a little bit more swagger too. So shout out to the Swagger DAO as well. I got my stickers on the water bottle, so shout out to them. But a big part of that, like all of that, none of those things work, right? The whole idea of ownership and operating peer-to-peer, unless those peers are able to operate peer-to-peer, unless there's other peers to be able to operate within. And that can be a little finicky sometimes and a little difficult. And, something that's super important in these elements is collaboration, whether it's, development or, in the sense of just artists, right? You have the producers, you have the graphic designers, you have the artists themselves, the writers, the cameras. I mean, there's everyone from top to bottom. And it takes a very cohesive, collaborative effort for people. And that's what's so great about what Sandbox brings to the table is their whole focus is on bringing these collaborative pieces that are necessary within these blockchain ecosystems for these different projects to be able to function. And we have been having discussions over the last several weeks about ways that we can help within this ecosystem, within the Open Web Sandbox, as far as being able to make onboarding more efficient and to really just, we were just talking about it backstage on the air meet, to just be able to have more hands on deck to be able to organize and disseminate and to be able to place these pieces together. And I think a large part of that, right, is, we're not getting more people, more labor in the workforce. We're looking to see what things we can automate, right? So that's something that we're looking to do as well, Quentin specifically. And it was something that we were working on before we had even discussions with the sandbox. So it was something that very much overlapped, very complementary, was text messaging systems, to be able to communicate with the different members and people within this ecosystem, whether it's, projects to be able to give the updates to, or, nagging the collaborators, the developers, or the creators, that are working with these projects, whether they want them, or, different updates on it, or, timelines, or this, that, and a third. And, I tell people all the time that 90% of my job is following up with people. And, it's just another element of that, is we're just going to automate the hassling. So that is one of our plans to do. But also, in order to be able to automate those systems, you need to be able to have people to be able to communicate with. As we mentioned, there is no peer-to-peer without other peers. So we're looking to be able to onboard as much talent as we possibly can. I know that Sophie and Anna have a system right now as far as what their kind of list or profile looks like, if you will, for each people. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to take some, I know that's what we're going to do. But as far as just taking those, I know,
Just
but
spoil
we're
it.
speaking speculatively, like we're not going to sit here and just rock the hell out of this. But taking those profiles and optimizing those profiles, I mean, automating the things that we can, but making those as full as possible. Not like they're not comprehensive as they are, but anything that we can do to improve what that is. And then, obviously, hassling those creators and being able to get that database together. And I'm admittedly not as familiar with how the database is organized on the Open Web Sandbox side. But that's obviously something that we will be able to discuss further, and also kind of given in the conversation, speculative conversations, as far as working together. So being able to optimize what those profiles can be, and probably putting them on a blockchain in a nice neat little white labeled marketplace that could probably, you could. I actually just kind of had a vision in my head as far as like what that could be. So excuse me while I stumble over my imagination for a second. Um, but yeah, being able to optimize those profiles, make them as comprehensive as possible, and make it as easy as possible for those people to be able to submit themselves and to make themselves available to be able to work and collaborate. Because I know that there's tons of talent within the ecosystem, and also with outside of the ecosystem, that's not even been onboarded yet. I know that there is, from developers or creators, we've got an incredible amount of people that we'd love to start bringing in any way that can be helpful for the different projects. But now the biggest focus is, understanding what those structures and foundations are that we're building on, and then what's best for everybody involved, from the administrators, the moderators, and collaborators, and talent, to be able to optimize that. And we've had some ideas as far as what that can be internally and different things, but I really wanted to open it up to as far as to the community and to the groups, to get a better idea as far as what everyone else's thoughts are on what could be more beneficial to you personally, as to make onboarding more efficient, and then obviously making sure that the projects get into the right hands so that they can be fulfilled, and then just making sure that that's as seamless of a process as possible. And I don't believe there's any reason that we can't do that. I've seen the amount of effort and resources and collaboration that this ecosystem does. So I just feel very lucky to even have the opportunity to speak in and possibly help. So I wanted to open that up to the board and to the room, and go from there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely very, very relevant points that you brought up. And also, as I speak, I actually came up with the idea like, if anybody present in this session, or if you're watching this video afterwards, you have any ideas on how we can reach out, how we can engage people that probably don't know what Web3 is and what benefits it brings along, shoot it here in the chat. We also have a channel on our Discord, which is called Feedback. So you can leave your ideas there, and then we can go into the conversation deeper. We can have another session to discuss if you have any proposal or any inspiration on how we can do so. I would say, Ryan, a question that I had as you were speaking, because you mentioned also like the skill set of people that you will be trying to profile somehow to engage them through minting music into the near-verse. Are there specific talents that you're looking for, like in terms of people, or like are those going to be only musicians or people who are like involved with music industry, or is it more inclusive than that?
Oh, absolutely more inclusive than that. Then I was kind of based on just kind of just talking about just using that as an example of like onboarding new talent because I know that from our previous conversations we had mentioned that there was still a need for content creators and developers and things of that nature, just more people to be able to pull from, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So the more talented people that we have available, the easier it's going to be able to place projects and to ultimately finish them. I'm a big believer in the best ability is availability.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
the more
That's true.
people that are available, I very much believe that the more people that are going to be able to complete some dope projects. And I speaking personally, from our end, anyone that would come from our end be thoroughly vetted, to come in already to contribute on whatever it would to make sense. And I know that everyone does the same, so that's not as far as having watered down talent pool. That's not something I'm worried about. So having too many talented people available is never
It's
an
never a
issue
problem. Yeah.
unless you're playing
Yeah,
football and
no.
there's only one ball to throw to. So Odell Beckham, okay, but just being able to and then everyone else too, right? Because I know everyone else has a network. This is, I mean, we're working in a blockchain ecosystem. I know that those connections and those networks run deep, and from experience and from meeting with people from all walks of life, a lot of time people just don't know what to they know they have they know they have a whole bunch of talented people around them, but sometimes they just don't know what to do with them, or so um, we're about being able to just give as many people opportunities as possible, and ultimately that's kind of what this is in a microcosm. It's opportunity inside of opportunity for people to contribute to a greater good, and it also benefits themselves too as individuals, because this is a very um, you know worthwhile project, or at least everything that we've done here within near make sure that the people are working and contributing to building the ecosystem are taken care of, and it's not done in vain. So
Yeah. No,
and
I think I agree so much with you on the topic of best ability is availability, because I think one of the challenges that the whole ecosystem is experiencing right now is that like you don't have enough people, like interested in the task. There are so many opportunities out there, and it's just a matter of attracting people, showcasing them why they should be, like doing stuff here and how much of a personal relevance it can have. So I think it definitely is true. I see there is a question from Rebecca, which I'm gonna show on the stage and read out
perfect.
loud as well. Yeah,
I was just reading that.
you talk about, yeah, so that was to you, Ryan. Rebecca is asking that you were talking about collaboration and the importance of it. How would you propose the facilitation of more collaboration through Minton Music in the near community or open web sandbox?
Well, I think this is kind of our step, our big kind of our big step, or our big kind of like what we believe is a big link to more consistent and expansive collaboration throughout the near ecosystem. So with Open Web Sandbox being a sandbox full of basically talent that needs to be placed in this, that, and a third. That allows us to be able to one, help those projects in areas that we're strong as, but also as we're building different programs, different entities within our own working. Sorry, I got my attention split. I was writing something down. Um, but just to be able to work with more groups, more projects. And I know that's something we have a pretty extensive list as far as people that we especially for the week at NearCon or a few days at NearCon, but the whole week as a whole, different collaborations with especially the music on the music side for us specifically. There's several different music entities and groups that are doing some real cool things. And I use that language very loosely. So I hope I don't offend anyone by calling the guilds, groups, or the steamed projects anything less than what they are. But yeah, I think we've had several follow-up phone calls, and to be quite honest, we've been, especially over the last several months, have really been refining our identity as what we're doing, and we have a much more focused and thorough view as far as what we're looking to accomplish. So I think the Open Web Sandbox is a great start for us to be able to be more collaborative within the near ecosystem. And then we believe it's going to open up a whole lot more doors to just be more available and more of a resource.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. Also, the something that I was thinking right now regarding, as you mentioned, NearCon, there is like I was looking at our list of standard opportunities, and I was just thinking there are so many things that you could have been doing, like while people are only working at memes or like limited categories. Like you take NearCon, like you watched, I don't know, like the whole 2 days recording while you're having lunch or something, and that's a strange thing that I just said, but okay. Let's say you watch like all the guest speakers there and like every single topic, like you can just take one speech, which is like 10 minutes, and write something about it and go extensive about it and find people who would be interested in that and write more and get rewarded in Sandbox, right? So the same goes for pretty much every guild and like for minting music. There is so much to say about content creation, about music industry, how it can benefit, why should it be on blockchain. So there's so many things. You just need to, I think, really direct people into a good side so that they kind of know what to do. I don't know if there's
Yeah.
any response to that, but I see there is also a question from Vasilia. Um, how do you handle the onboarding process for artists who have no clue about what Near is at the moment, and how was your experience with that?
Well, that's a great question. And one I got a very strong opinion about. So I will, and from our working experience as doing such, we really believe that there is, because people don't know about the space. They don't know about the space, and what they do know is oftentimes limited at best, and also a lot of times very deceptive and distorted, because we know about the different narratives that go along with crypto in general. Most people don't even know the difference between crypto and blockchain, or even that blockchain exists. That are in this space because they're buying Shiba Inu off Robinhood and have no idea why that's not good. And that's the large majority of people that we're dealing with as a whole. And it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely something that's a challenge in the sense that getting people to learn new things and new things that are pretty inherently intimidating for them as well. I mean, blockchain and crypto as a whole, money and finance is something that's complicated to people, and they don't have a very strong foundation about in the first place. And then you add tech into it, where also most people don't feel extremely tech savvy outside of being able to interact on social media and open Google Docs. You have a lot of mental barriers that we're looking to be able to overcome with people. So what we're really looking to do is meet people where they are, which is why focusing on this is going to be a roundabout answer. but I'm going to get to the core of it, I promise. Focusing on the functional NFTs and the utility in the NFTs, and really trying to take a hold of the narrative by being active and doing these things ourselves, so that people have a better, more full and comprehensive understanding of what these things are. And in order to be able to do that, to be able to meet them where they are, um, we're finding out that being able to have these conversations in person, to be able to have these experiences in person, is a huge benefit, and something that we learned from our launch event, and it was very clear very quickly, was that the ability for people to be able to interact in a physical space, where they're able to learn and to be hands-on, because it's easy to dissociate whenever you're online and looking at a screen all the time, or caught up in the metaverse, as we're going. But to have people like physically present, to be able to physically be able to ask, it's a safer space to them. It gives context. It gives context to what they're doing, and it makes it feel real to them. And they also have the opportunity to be able to ask questions, and to be able to learn and grow in their own rate. And so that's going to be able to create a level of comfort. And obviously, having launch events isn't going to be something that's recreated, but being able to have these community meetups is, and being able to introduce them, in small ways, at live shows, is going to be crucial. One of our simple kind of offerings that we're looking to do is just being able to do basic airdrops at shows, right? So being able to get them in environments that they're already at, and being able to integrate them as simply as possible into what they are. And like, obviously, especially now, it would be, you know burning an NFT ticket to go to a mint-based party with a whole bunch of blockchain like enthusiasts is one thing. Um, getting 200, 1,000 people at a concert venue, where they're just used to going in, showing their phone and, from their email, and, going to buy drinks that they always have, is, that's a lot more difficult and intimidating, and just, it's not easy to get people's attention. And it's not something that we should focus on, because that's say that loosely, but as far it's a losing battle trying to you know change their routine and get them out of their routine. What we need to do is, we're looking to integrate into what they're already doing, so that they're able to be exposed to it in familiar environments, and safer environments, so they're able to learn on their own physically, and make it something that's intangible tangible, um, rather than just watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos, or secondhand, or just trying to figure it out online.
I think it definitely gives you a totally different experience when you're getting to try stuff on your own, when you actually, and the story that you mentioned, going to the meme-based party with your NFT, right? Like, why would you care? And I know some people that are
Right,
native relatively, they're like, yeah, why would I care about an NFT? Why would I want to burn it, or like bother at all with this when I enter the party? When, like, why didn't they just send the tickets, just the regular ones, the identical
right.
ones to everybody? Why didn't they do it? And then, like, you see that the process is not there just yet, like, people like NFT, cool, nice, but at the moment that I have to do an extra step, they're like, why would I?
Hmm. Yeah, I really believe that some of the stuff has no need to be as complicated as it is. And I think a lot of the bells and whistles that we have in these early stages of things, they're more tricks for the developer teams to be able to flex and to say they did it, rather than to have any like real useful function or value to the individual consumer that they're actually looking to service. And we know that's
Mhm.
going to evolve too, but also, like, we can make this a whole lot easier, and there's no reason that we shouldn't.
True that. Another question from the audience. So there are plenty of opportunities for artists when it comes to NFTs, among which funding opportunities as well. How is access to financing and funding made easier for musicians in the NFT space?
Well, so there's a the artist space is a little more complicated because there's a lot more of a growth curve, a learning curve for artists to even get in. Because you're looking at a whole totally different demographic of people that are interacting from top to bottom, than a traditional, right? Most of the NFT, the artist graphic, the design NFTs that are, pretty much the staple in the NFT space right now. You look at most of them, there is some kind of digital background, that these people have. And just kind of like the fine arts or the high end arts or the digital arts, world in general has always been a lot more niche and a lot more like that, whereas music and everything is a whole lot more mainstream. And it's not like there's not niche pockets within, the music space, but I definitely think that the music and musicians are, for them to really, really be able to benefit as a whole, it's definitely more of a long game in that. But where we're going, and these opportunities here are immediately, but until there, we're just still a little bit of ways, from there being more widespread and more equitable, right? Because Tory Lanez, sold 1 million copies of his NFT, album, a month or two ago, couple months ago, right? Sold it out in 24 hours. Granted, that was how many were bought by, bots and private buyers that he hired. That's to be determined. But, the ability, it's the same thing to be able to, just like whenever artists were first getting, their own website, like in the 2.0 space, in late 90s, early 2000s. This is the same thing that we're doing specifically, in the white labeling of those NFT marketplaces. So, we're basically being able to take these 2.0 websites and move them onto the blockchain. So we're able to create that elevated, experience for them. They have that sense of independence, that sense of ownership, and it's also, creates more avenues for revenue. We're looking at, the way we look at it, right, is NFTs are, for artists, in one way, it's a lot just like merch. So we're looking at NFTs as merch, and a lot of those, you're gonna make that merch, as appealing as possible to the demographic that you're serving. But what's cool about those NFTs is, the ability to be able to build smart contracts in them and what you're able to link to them. So, these can end up being little digital Russian nesting dolls of, surprises and unlockable content, for, um, for these different fan bases. So, you have one NFT that could be, access to a specific, area in the website, or in the marketplace that they have, or in their metaverse that they're building, or if they collect one NFT from one show, maybe that you take that NFT and that's proof, or that ends up unlocking, merch for another show. So if you show up to another show, you're able to
Mm,
redeem that, and you're also able to gamify that too. So there's infinite ways that you can, um, build into those, build the incentives into, the NFTs themselves. And then there's also, the even more complex leg, in the whole space, where you're able to like really look into the smart contracts as far as like royalties, and everything else is going to be, for collaborators is a huge thing. And, collaborators in any art space is, made easier for that. But specifically, with musicians, where you have producers, and vocalists and, mixers and masters and everything else, you're able to improve the royalty, make that more efficient in those spaces. And then also, you're able to create social tokens, or at least the idea, operate on the idea of social tokens, because you don't have to actually create a social token to, operate on that. And, it also becomes a more direct investment vehicle, for these artists and for these labels, and all kinds of different fundraising. So, something that the NFTs also allow for artists is, it takes all the best things of Patreon and GoFundMe and, all these other crowdfunding
Mm.
ways that artists and independents have been, resourcing their projects and content, for, the last, years since, we've been in this independent artist economy that we have. So it's definitely a long game. There's immediate opportunities happening all the time. But I think with the real power of the NFTs for the artists is whenever we start really doing the royalty game and dissemination en masse, and obviously being able to catalog those and categorize those and aggregate those is going to be quite the process. And we could get into how messed up the music industry is as a whole, but that would just waste everyone's time and probably ruin everyone's day. But I hope that answered that question.
I think it's indeed it's a very interesting. I mean, I think the full potential of NFTs and for the creators, for the new creators economy, where people want to own what they actually produce, I think it's unlocked so far. I think NFT has so many more use cases and will be having so many more use cases in the future. So that's definitely something to like to keep in mind and just be creative about it. Like if you have an idea, like think in a way of how you can innovate it in a sense, I would say. So yeah, before we would conclude, as I see we're almost at the end of the session, I would say if there are any questions from the public about the general working of Sandbox, something that you would like us to address right now, please drop it in the chat before we dash. But otherwise, Anna, do you have anything to say? You've been listening the whole. You have any ideas, any suggestions, comments, something on it?
Yeah, I just would like to say thank you to Ryan because it's really important our collaboration. Because through the stable networking, we can break through the chaotic system still of ecosystem. So I think it's definitely good trend. And also regarding NFT. I see that many artists now, even on Instagram or somewhere, they broadcast their own NFTs. So I think it's a good future. Thank you, Ryan.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having me.
Ryan, any final thoughts, final ideas to conclude?
Yeah, just
call to action.
Yeah, just kind of for anyone's preferences as far as communication. I think that's the biggest thing. I think everyone, obviously, we have the Telegram. Everyone has a Telegram. Most people have a WhatsApp. We have the forums, the different forums, the Discords, and everything else. But I also know that those things can get really congested. Like if I were to open up my Telegram right now, I'd have 15 different conversations ahead of probably the one that I care about. And goodness knows how many missed texts or messages from those threads. So
you're one of those horrible people that never replies to the messages and forgets to respond. Is that you, Ryan?
I think everyone here in this call knows that I am that person.
True that.
So
I think everybody practices that, and yeah, no, but you're absolutely right. There is so much happening, like it's really overwhelming to keep on all of it.
It's analysis paralysis, and how Chloe and Rebecca are able to do that all day. I have no idea.
I don't know how she does it.
Probably be mortified. This is just my text messages. You can imagine what my Telegram looks like, and it's just, and I'm not even complaining about that. Just noticing. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Especially like creators that are more lackadaisical. Well, I don't want to. Who is calling anymore? Like nobody's calling. Like text me if you need me. Call me, beat me if you need to reach me. But I will put that phone call on decline unless it's somebody from this ecosystem. I will answer those phone calls because I know that's important. But I would love to find a way. Folders are the way. That's what I need.
Folders on Telegram. Yes.
I need a Telegram tutorial or like a super session. That's what I need is a Telegram super session because we can automate and we can do all kinds of cool tricks and sessions. But I need a whole Telegram breakdown. But But yeah, I think whatever,
Just for
and
videos.
that might end up being the best way to be able to organize those communications with creators. So, and I think the onboarding process is going to be the most crucial for that, and making sure that that's as comfortable for people as possible, so that they feel as immersed and invested as they
Yeah.
can from the jump. So making sure that they're set up for success as much as possible, and that's not to insinuate they aren't. It's just to look at what makes the most sense to be able to, and what can incentivize and improve these experiences for everybody.
No, no, definitely. And finding this one point of activation that's really
Because I just know Rebecca.
that's
I
really
can't see
tough.
Rebecca's face right now, but I just know I'm getting the look.
Cool. No. Thank you again for all the insights that you're always bringing with you. Looking forward to find more people for further communication. I would just say maybe two highlights to mention that Near University is looking for developers very actively. So if you do know people who are recent graduates or like good IT technical people, or not that good and want to become better, they should definitely check out the Near Certified courses that last 2 days, but then they get amazing opportunities and jobs afterwards. So,
Right, and that's on the Near.
winch,
That's on Near University, right? That
yes,
page,
that's
correct?
you.
I have been
Yes, yeah.
I've
I
been
would
dropping
say
that
I don't.
into select chats to people,
Yes.
letting them know.
Yes. So Near University is the place to check that out. We're also going to do the promotion about it in the coming days so that you can expect that on Sandbox. And another highlight is that I saw Near Wiki is looking desperately for writers to complete separate sections. So definitely check that out on forum as well. And maybe the very last update would be that Open Forest Protocol is looking for new degens, which we posted in the daily chat. So do fill in the form if you care about climate or blockchain or both of those. So those would be the things to keep in mind this week. For the rest, again, Ryan, thank you so much. Anna, thanks for coming as well. Everybody who was here, and yeah, see you all next week.
Great, thank you so much, y'all. See you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Sweet.